Alright, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going over my Bloodless Summoner build that seems to be the best build I have found to go with the Ring of Mendeln, which I recently acquired for the first time. So if you like this kind of content, be sure to leave me a like, comment, subscribe, and we're just going to jump right into this. So, having just gotten the Ring of Mendeln, this build that I've put together is specifically designed around the Ring of Mendeln to proc the lucky hit chance on that ring as much as possible. So if you don't have this ring, I apologize. I know your frustration. Before Season 1, my Necromancer was level 93 and I still had not gotten this ring. So trust me, I feel your frustration, and please join me in sending Blizzard a big fuck you for making it to where all summoner builds, all minion builds are second class unless you have this ring. So that being said, we're still going to talk about it a bit. One of the main things about this ring is it definitely changed the way that I play. You have to take into consideration the lucky hit chance of all the different spells that you could use and figure out what is actually the best for proccing this ring. Because when it procs, I mean, it's a ton of damage. Definitely worth building around. It's absolutely a game-changing item. Now, I tried several different builds. I tried a hemorrhage build based on attack speed just to get as many attacks out as possible. Kinda worked. Was nowhere near as effective as this. I tried corpse explosion. I tried making that work because I was already doing a shadow damage corpse explosion build when I got this ring. That didn't work, so I've been, experimenting with a bunch of different abilities. I've tried Bloodless, Bloodless, obviously, being the one I settled on. I've tried Bone Spear. I've tried the Bone Prison building around Bone Prison because that seems to proc it nearly every time you use Bone Prison. I've tried Corpse Tendrils. I went through quite a list of builds trying to make this ring proc as much as possible. And this is the build that I've settled on as being the most effective I've found so far. So, what's actually working is there's two different Bloodless aspects that when you cast Bloodless, if you meet certain conditions, it automatically fires another Bloodless. And from what I can tell, the extra Bloodlances that get fired off from these aspects actually have a chance to proc your lucky hit and the Ring of Mendeln. So far this is the most effective one I've found. It's probably a bug. It's probably not intended for the extra Bloodlances to be able to proc lucky hit effects and all that, so this may change. I may have to go to a different build if they ever figure it out and fix it. But yes, so far Bloodless has been the most effective one that I've found. The way I had to change the way I was playing, I really had to look for a lucky hit chance on gear to help improve my lucky hit chance. So the way the ring works is on a lucky hit you have a 10% chance to have the ring proc and for all your minions to explode for a bunch of damage. So the way that works is you end up getting it's about a 5% chance per attack for that ring to proc. So even though I have like a 46% lucky hit chance with Bloodless, it's still only a 5% chance per attack that it's actually going to proc my ring. The extra lances thrown out with each attack from the aspects I'm using do help improve that. But I have one more clip here of gameplay I'm going to show you that's going to show another way this has changed my gameplay. But we'll go ahead and take a look at that now. Okay, so this is some gameplay of when I was playing with a friend, and we are going to fight the World Tier 4 Varshan in the Malignant Tunnels. One of the things about this, I really want you to pay attention to my Army of the Dead cooldown at the bottom of the screen on my bar. Since I've been building into Lucky Hit for this build around this ring, it's also triggering the cooldown reduction from Decrepify more often. And this fight against Varshan here actually lasts about 40 seconds. I use my Army of the Dead 5 times during that fight. So a 40-second fight, an ability with a 58 second cooldown, I get to use that ability 5 times in one fight. So that's something definitely worth taking note of. Okay, so now we can go ahead and take a look at the build a little bit, alright? Now, the first thing I want you to take note of are the 2 Bloodless legendary affixes that I'm using. The first one is each cast of Bloodless will launch an additional Bloodless at a nearby enemy when it first hits an enemy that is already lanced, dealing 47% of normal damage is what I've got. So this is what I was talking about, getting additional Bloodlances out of each cast. If you shoot a bunch of Bloodlances at the same target, they're going to end up splitting off and shooting new Bloodlances at different targets. And as far as I can tell, these additional Bloodlances also can proc the Lucky Hit effect, and in turn proc the ring effect. So that's something to keep in mind. And the other one is casting Bloodless will consume blood orbs to also conjure lances from them. Each additional Bloodless deals 44%, is the best roll I got, of normal damage and prioritizes targeting unlanced enemies. So again, I'm just getting extra Bloodlances cast every time I cast Bloodless if there are blood orbs around. And since I'm using this aspect where consuming a corpse has a 29% chance to spawn a blood orb, and this is the Ray Skeleton is my main source of getting my essence back. That's where all the blood orbs are coming from, and proccing additional lances. So that all that works together to be shooting off extra Bloodlances, which, as near as I can tell, all have a chance to proc the Lucky Hit effect, and that's why Bloodless has been the most effective that I've found for proccing the Ring of Mendeln. Okay, so let's back it up a little bit and go over each piece individually. So this amulet is not optimized at all. In fact, a lot of my gear is not optimized for this build, since I've just recently swapped over to it and I haven't been able to find, you know, exact pieces that I want for it. The minion attack speed on the amulet is pretty decent for this build. The 2 ranks of Fueled by Death are okay, but I would much rather have Coalesced Blood. You can also have minion maximum life on your amulet and cooldown reduction, which would be, you know, probably pretty decent to have. We went over the aspect already on this piece of gear, so the vicious heart I've got on it is, honestly, you don't, there's not an orange heart, or a heart that fits an orange slot that I felt really goes with this build. This is just the closest one I found to it. I don't like it. And as soon as I can get an amulet with a different color slot that has some of the affixes on it that I want for this build, this will be replaced. But for now, that's the one I'm using. I'm not even going to talk about it because it doesn't really go that great with this build. My first ring is, while Army of the Dead is active, your minions gain 91% attack speed and take 90% reduced damage. With as many times as I was casting Army of the Dead in that one fight, you can see I'm getting a lot of use out of this aspect. In particular, pay attention to the maximum minion life that you can get on your rings. This one, I was able to roll lucky hit chance on it as well, so that's really nice to have. Overpower damage is another affix you can get on your ring that would be pretty decent for this build as well. Or damage to slowed, but the damage to stun that I have on it isn't really ideal. Then I've got the brutal heart I have on this one is the 19% of incoming damage is instead suppressed. Now, it does say something about all that suppressed damage is multiplied and dealt back to them when you cast Blood Mist on this build, but honestly, the damage from this I've never really noticed to be all that effective. Mainly because of that damage cap, the 18,000, it just doesn't seem like it does all that much. However, 19% of incoming damage being suppressed is, you know, pretty decent thing. So, moving on to the Ring of Mendeln, of course it has the lucky hit chance on it, the minion attack speed, the maximum minion life on it. All good things. The thorns is okay, but I'm not really building around thorns for this build. But while you have 7 or more minions, you gain lucky hit up to a 10% chance to empower all of your minions, causing the next attack from each to explode for however much damage, physical damage though. Take note of the physical damage. You can get plus physical damage on some of your gear, and that'll increase the damage you get from the ring procs. The heart that I have in this ring is the Wrathful Heart that cycles through a malignant bonus every 20 kills. And honestly, the vicious and the devious parts of this go really well with this build. The brutal is meh, but it is at least helpful. But 2 out of 3 of the bonuses you get from it are actually really helpful. So that I do highly recommend this particular Wrathful Heart if you're able to get it. Alright, for the shield, we went over consuming the corpse to get a blood orb. On the shield, look for maximum minion life. An ideal shield would have maximum minion life, minion attack speed, cooldown reduction, and damage reduction would be the ones that I would want ideally, but this is the best I've found so far. For the weapon, we've already went over the aspect. Take note of the 24% overpower damage from the ruby I put in the weapon. The overpower damage is good, core skill damage is good, all of this is good, but this is why we're using wands up at the top of the weapon. You can see I've got a 15% lucky hit chance from using a wand. So you definitely want to use a wand if you're trying to proc the Ring of Mendeln. Boots. I have the aspect becoming injured while crowd control grants you unstoppable for 4 seconds. I don't have a really good roll on this. It's a 28-second cooldown. It could be 20, but you know, it's the best I've gotten so far. The main thing I really love to see on boots is movement speed. Other than that, I can make do with a lot of the other things that you will get on boots, but I definitely want the movement speed on it. Same on the amulet, if I can. I love having movement speed on the amulet as well. The pants I'm running with this build are Temerity, and I did get a pretty decent roll on it, but I will say that the pants I had before this had the affix where if you have 7 or more minions, they have 20% damage reduction, and I honestly found that aspect to be more helpful. I generally stay back from the fight while I'm playing this build and don't really take as much damage myself, so I have noticed since I switched to Temerity that sometimes my minions die or just end up really low health more often, since I'm not running that aspect anymore. But this is an option. It'll definitely help you stay alive personally a little more, but that's just, like I say, I was running the other set of pants, and I think I may have liked those better. For gloves, the aspect on these gloves is really important for this build. Whenever your blood skills overpower, you gain 50% attack speed for 4 seconds. I'm overpowering all the time, and so I'll generally keep this attack speed up nearly all the time when I'm actually attacking stuff. So, but the faster your attack speed, the faster you can get your blood lances out to proc the Ring of Mendeln, and also the faster you can raise skeleton to get your essence back. So attack speed is a huge deal for this build. And as far as these gloves go, I wish they had attack speed on them, just on the glove part, but I do have the lucky hit chance, which is great. The ranks of blood lance is great. I got bad rolls on both of those, unfortunately, but is what it is. The critical strike chance is good as well, but like I say, the fourth one I would really want would just be straight up attack speed on the gloves. Chest armor, we're running maximum number of skeletal mages increased by 2 because, well, obviously more minions, more damage for this. I've got summoning skill damage, blood skill damage, all stats, and plus damage on this. I believe there's an affix you can get which is plus physical damage, which would be probably be even better on your chest piece, as well as you can get maximum minion life on your chest piece as well. So there's a few different stats you can play with on that particular piece of armor. Just find the best you can get. Headpiece, maximum number of skeletal warriors is increased by 2. Again, more minions, more damage from the ring. Really the main thing I want on the headpiece is the cooldown reduction. The total armor affix is pretty good, all stats is pretty good, but I mean really the main one I look for on a headpiece is the cooldown reduction. Okay, so let's go over the Book of the Dead real quick. Skeletal Warriors Reaper with the chance to form a corpse. Skeletal Mages Cold with gaining essence from their primary attacks, helps you keep attacking longer. Golems, I'm running the Iron Golem with his slam attack also makes enemies vulnerable for 3 seconds. I find this particularly useful because I can time my golem's attack to when I'm about to shoot off a bunch of blood lances, and I can pick which enemies I want to make vulnerable and all that. So that just works out really well for me. Alright, let's take a look at the skill tree real quick. I've got 2 points up here, actually in hemorrhage, but just to get past it, I'm not using a base skill. Core skills, I've got 5 out of 5 Blood Lance, of course, Enhanced Blood Lance, and Supernatural Blood Lance. And this means that after casting Blood Lance 6 times, your next cast is guaranteed to overpower. So that aspect where when I overpower I get 50% attack speed, that's coming from this. And then you proc your attack speed and you'll get another 6 blood lances out with that increased attack speed and proc it again. So it works really well with this build. Then we move down to the next level. We've got Bloodless, Blood Mist, Enhanced Blood Mist, and Dreadful Blood Mist to give us a little bit of Fortify. You could run Ghastly Blood Mist, but I never run out of corpses with this build anyways, so it's not really a big deal. 3 out of 3 in Skeletal Warrior Mastery, which is self-explanatory on a minion build. 3 out of 3 Grim Harvest, consuming a corpse generates 6 essence. That's how we get our essence back. I put 3 out of 3 in Fueled by Death. You deal increased damage for 6 seconds after consuming a corpse. Alright, so Decrepify here is, yeah. We're getting a lot of stuff out of Decrepify. I've got 3 out of 3 Amplify damage, so 12% increased damage to cursed enemies. So by running Decrepify, I'm slowing the targets, I'm causing them to do less damage. Then because of these points in Enhanced Decrepify and Abhorrent Decrepify, I'm also getting crowd control from Decrepify, where they get stunned when I curse them. And I'm getting cooldown reduction from Abhorrent Decrepify on lucky hits. So yeah, just all around Decrepify just makes this build, seems like you get a lot of value out of it. 3 out of 3 Skeletal Mage Mastery, again self-explanatory. 3 out of 3 Necrotic Carapace, getting Fortify when you form a corpse. So that's just, you know, helping you stay alive a little bit. I put 1 in Gruesome Mending just to get past it. I put 1 in Transfusion, so my blood orbs also heal my minions for 20%, just to help me keep my minions alive a little easier. 3 out of 3 in Coalesce Blood. While healthy, your blood skills deal 18% increased damage. 3 out of 3 Drain Vitality. Lucky Hit, which we have a ton of. Hitting enemies with blood skills has up to a 30% chance to fortify you for 8% base life. So we've got a ton of Lucky Hit on this build, so we're getting good value out of that. Blood skills deal 15% increased overpower damage, and the bonus is doubled while you're healthy. So Tides of Blood, 3 out of 3, getting 30% increased overpower damage when we're healthy. Army of the Dead, self-explanatory, definitely got the 2 points in improving Army of the Dead. 3 out of 3 in Inspiring Leader for attack speed for you and your minions. And like I say, on this build we love attack speed. 3 out of 3 on Hellbent Commander. Your minions deal 30% increased damage while you're close to them. And 3 out of 3 Bonded in Essence to increase the healing we get from Raised Skeleton. Helps keep your minions alive a lot easier. And then I put 1 out of 3 in Death's Defense just to make sure that my minions can't get one-shotted. The key passive is Rathma's Vigor. Increase your maximum life by 10%, and after being healthy for 12 seconds, your next blood skill overpowers. This is just another source of the overpower damage that we want so much to keep our attack speed up. And it's also good for damage. Alright, so Paragon board. We'll go ahead and take a short look at this. I'll try not to go too in depth about this. My first glyph, I picked Control. You and your minions deal 10% increased damage to slowed or chilled enemies. I mean, yeah. As well as a 67% damage to crowd controlled enemies. So that's, yeah, everything you attack should be crowd controlled from using Decrepify. I actually had to pick up both rare nodes on this first Paragon board to hit the intelligence required for this glyph. Then, because I always use a minion build, I mean always, all of my builds for Necromancer are minion builds. So the first Paragon board that I pick is of course the Minion Paragon board. In particular, make sure that you put in the Dead Razor glyph into your Minion Paragon board, because Paragon nodes within range gain 76% bonus to their minion damage and damage reduction modifiers, as well as the additional bonus when you get the requirements for it. When your minions deal damage to an enemy, that enemy takes increased damage from you and your minions up to 12% for 10 seconds. So that's a really good bonus. But since we put the Dead Razor here, this rare node, instead of a 25% increase to minion damage, it's 35%. And this is 8.8%. It was 5%. So you're getting a pretty good increase in those nodes from having that particular glyph on this board. And the same as with these nodes, they're increased for the same reason. And yeah, I went, you know, pretty far into this board. I picked up most of the rare nodes except for this one with the minion armor. I didn't feel like it was worth the points to go out of my way to get that one. So I just stopped at the legendary node here for the 45% increased minion damage. The next board that I put on was Sin of Death, which, let's be honest, you're almost always going to have the two corpses nearby, so you'll almost always have the 15% damage reduction from this legendary node. Just quickly to touch on the glyph I put in this board was Amplify. And again, if you look at the top part of this, the phrasing that you need to pay attention to, and the theme of every glyph I picked, is enemies affected by curse skills take 10% increased damage from you and your minions. So that's the key phrase I'm looking for on my glyphs. It's increasing my damage and my minions' damage. So some of the glyphs will only increase your damage, or only increase your minions' damage, or only increase your non-physical damage, or only increase your physical damage. So I do like to make sure that the glyphs I pick specifically say you and your minions. So that's all I've got for you on the build for this. That's just what I'm running on this one. I'd really love to know what you guys think about it. If you have found a build that works better for proccing the Ring of Mendeln, be sure to leave me a comment down below. Let me know which particular build it is, or which skill you're having better luck with. Me personally, this one seems to work the best for me so far. But yeah, be sure to let me know what you think about it. And again, be sure to join me in sending Blizzard a big fuck you for making it to where all of your minion builds are second class and not able to stack up in damage with builds that sacrifice the minions, unless you have the Ring of Mendeln, which is a nightmare to get. I mean, you just have to get lucky to get that ring. And it is so game changing for people like me that really prefer to play the minion builds. But that's all I've got for you. Be sure to leave me a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz, and I'll catch you in the next one.